0320 hours local time. The night sky over Russia tore open. 6 supersonic ballistic missiles dropped from the stratosphere. They were flying at Mach 3. The target was the 1046th Logistics Center military arsenal. This facility sits outside the city of Karachuv in the Bryansk region. And with those detonations, a 190-mile kill radius was instantly activated deep inside Russian territory. The White House crossed the ultimate red line. They gave the green light for deep strikes. The Kremlin has already ordered tactical nuclear warheads to be prepped. But here is what nobody tells you. This was a provocation that triggered World War III. The radar screens inside Russian Air Defense Command erupted. The operators had only seconds to react. They watched the American weapons bypass their most advanced interceptors. 5 were reportedly shot down. 1 was damaged. But the debris rained fire down upon the military facility. The damage was done. The psychological barrier was completely shattered. You are watching the most dangerous escalation of our lifetime unfold in real time. The rules of engagement have been permanently rewritten. The United States is no longer just supplying weapons. They are actively directing the destruction of the Russian homeland. And that was the moment everything changed. Run the numbers with me. Each American ATACMS missile costs $1.5 million. It carries a 500-pound blast fragmentation warhead. It travels at 3,000 feet per second. The Russian air defense system costs $500 million per battery. For every dollar the United States spends on these strikes, Moscow must spend hundreds to defend its airspace. But the math gets even more terrifying. There are 5,000 American sailors sitting on aircraft carriers right now. They are watching this unfold. A 190-mile range means the Ukrainian military can now strike 250 high-value Russian military targets. Ammunition depots, command bunkers, air bases, logistics hubs, all are now under threat. 38 minutes. That is all it took to transform a localized conflict into a global nuclear standoff. The Russian commanders thought they were safe behind their borders. They believed the American administration would never authorize such a strike. They were wrong. The Biden administration held this weapon back for over 2 years. They feared severe escalation. They feared a direct armed clash between NATO and Russian forces. But the calculus shifted overnight. Why? Because of a massive miscalculation by the Kremlin. What they did not know was that their latest alliance would force Washington into a very tight, dangerous, deadly corner. Look closer at the Kursk region. 10,000 elite North Korean troops just crossed the border. They did not come for a training exercise. They came to fight. This is the first time in modern history that Asian troops have deployed to a European battlefield. They brought artillery. They brought rockets. They brought a willingness to die for a foreign dictator. The Pentagon watched this massive troop movement on satellite imagery. They realized the old strategy was completely bankrupt. No nation on Earth can afford to win that way. The introduction of foreign fighters changed the entire force ratio dynamic very rapidly. The United States had to respond. And they responded with supersonic fury. The November 17th authorization was not just a political maneuver. It was a direct military countermeasure. The American commanders knew they had to sever the Russian supply lines. They had to destroy the logistics center before those North Korean troops could be fully equipped. The strike on Bryansk was a preemptive decapitation of the enemy supply chain. But the Kremlin did not see it as a tactical strike. They saw it as an existential threat. And their response was swift, brutal, and utterly terrifying to the civilized world. November 19th. Vladimir Putin signs a piece of paper that changes the fate of the world. He officially revised the Russian nuclear doctrine. The new rules are chilling. If a non-nuclear state attacks Russia with conventional weapons, but is supported by a nuclear power, it is now classified as a joint attack. Think about that for a second. Ukraine fired the missiles, but the United States built them. The United States provided the targeting data. Therefore, according to the new Russian law, the United States just attacked Russia. The threshold for deploying weapons has been officially lowered right now. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov stepped up to the microphone. His words sent shockwaves through the Pentagon. He explicitly warned that the use of Western non-nuclear missiles by Kyiv against Russia could provoke a nuclear response. This is not a drill. This is a rehearsal for Armageddon. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov echoed the threat. He called the ATACMS strikes a clear signal of Western escalation. He promised that Moscow would respond accordingly. The diplomatic channels are completely frozen. The red phones are ringing, but nobody is negotiating. The world is holding its breath. But consider the terrifying reality today. What does a nuclear response actually look like? We are not talking about massive intercontinental ballistic missiles destroying New York. We are talking about tactical nuclear weapons. Russia possesses an estimated 2,000 tactical nuclear warheads. These are designed for battlefield use. They can be launched from the exact same Iskander missile systems that Russia uses every single day. A single tactical nuke has a yield of anywhere from 1 to 50 kilotons. The bomb dropped on Hiroshima was 15 kilotons. If Putin orders a strike on a Ukrainian military base, the devastation would be absolute. The blast wave would vaporize steel and concrete instantly. The electromagnetic pulse would fry every piece of electronic equipment within a 50-mile radius. The radiation would poison the land for generations. But the Pentagon did not back down. They called the bluff. Or did they? United States intelligence officials assessed that the concerns over Russian escalation had diminished. They noted that previous deliveries of advanced weaponry had not triggered significant retaliation. Tanks did not trigger it. Fighter jets did not trigger it. Cruise missiles did not trigger it. So they pushed the envelope again. But this time, the enemy is backed into a very dangerous, dark, tight corner today. November 20th. The fallout begins. The United States Embassy in Kyiv goes into total lockdown. The gates are sealed. The staff is ordered to shelter in place. The official statement cited specific credible intelligence of a massive retaliatory attack. This was not a routine precaution. The intelligence community picked up chatter. They saw movement at the Russian strategic bomber bases. The hypersonic missiles were being prepped. The threat level was pushed to maximum. American citizens were told to prepare for immediate evacuation. The panic spread through the capital like wildfire. The entire diplomatic corps braced for the incoming kinetic impact. This is the direct consequence of crossing the red line. You cannot fire American ballistic missiles into the Russian homeland and expect business as usual. The Kremlin had to save face. They had to demonstrate that their nuclear threats were not empty words. The skies over Eastern Europe are now a massive kill zone. NATO planes are circling the borders. Their radars are scanning every inch of Russian airspace. They are waiting for the launch detection. This is not just about Ukraine anymore. This is about the total collapse of the global security architecture we all rely upon right now. The United States Navy is watching the Mediterranean. The Pacific Fleet is monitoring the South China Sea. Because if Russia launches a tactical nuclear weapon, the entire planet goes on high alert. The American response would have to be devastating. NATO would likely intervene directly. The Polish military is already mobilizing its air defenses. They are scrambling fighter jets every time a Russian missile gets close to the border. A massive advantage in conventional forces means NATO could obliterate the Russian military in a conventional fight. But nobody wins a nuclear exchange. That is a completely bankrupt military strategy today. No nation on Earth can afford to win that way. Yet the Biden administration made the calculation. They decided that the risk of inaction was greater than the risk of nuclear war. They saw the North Korean troops. They saw the collapsing front lines. They knew they had to act. But look closer at the timing. Why now? Why wait 2 years to authorize these strikes, only to do it in the final weeks of the administration? January 2025 is rapidly approaching. The second Trump administration is preparing to take power. The political landscape in Washington is shifting very violently today. This authorization was one of the final major foreign policy moves of the outgoing president. It was designed to lock in a strategic reality before the new commander takes the oath of office. It forces the incoming administration to inherit a drastically escalated conflict. The incoming team has promised to end the war in 24 hours. But how do you end a war when ballistic missiles are actively raining down on Russian logistics centers? How do you negotiate peace when the Russian nuclear doctrine has just been rewritten to classify the United States as a direct combatant force today? You cannot simply put the genie back in the bottle. The ATACMS are already in the theater. The launch codes have been entered. The coordinates have been locked. The logistics center is just the beginning. There are dozens of other targets waiting on the kill list. The Ukrainian military has the coordinates. They have the weapons. And now, they have the permission. The next 60 days will be the most dangerous period in modern history. Let us break down exactly how this strike happened. Inside the Combat Information Center, the screens glow with satellite telemetry data feeds right now today. The American intelligence apparatus maps the entire Russian air defense grid. They find the blind spots. They calculate the exact trajectory needed to bypass the radars. The coordinates are securely transmitted to the Ukrainian launch crews. The launchers roll out of their camouflaged hiding spots. The hydraulic tubes raise to the sky. The launch sequence takes less than 3 minutes. Fire. The massive solid rocket motor ignites, kicking up a storm of dust and fire. The missile breaches the sound barrier in seconds. It climbs into the upper atmosphere, invisible to the naked eye of the enemy forces below today. It crosses the border at supersonic speed. Before the enemy even knows they have been detected, they are already dead. The Russian air defense crews at Bryansk had virtually no warning. The radar screens erupted with high-speed contacts. They fired their interceptors, but the velocity of the American missiles overwhelmed the system. The logistics hub was engulfed in flames. The supply chain was severed, a masterclass in precision strike capability. But we must return to the catalyst. Why did Kim Jong-un send his elite forces to die in a freezing Russian winter wasteland right now, this very month? Because geopolitics is a transactional game. Pyongyang is not fighting for free. They are trading blood for technology. Russian engineers are likely providing North Korea with advanced ballistic missile technology, nuclear submarine blueprints, and satellite launch capabilities. The American intelligence community knows this. They know that a victory for Russia in Europe means a nuclear-armed, technologically advanced North Korea in the Pacific. The threat is interconnected. The ATACMS strike in Bryansk was a message sent directly to Pyongyang. It was a demonstration of what happens when you step into the crosshairs of American military hardware systems right now today. The Pentagon is telling the world that there is nowhere to hide. Not in Kursk, not in Bryansk, not in Pyongyang. But the enemy is adapting. The Russian military is dispersing its assets. They are moving their fighter jets beyond the range of the ATACMS. They are digging deeper bunkers. The cat and mouse game is escalating. And every single move brings us one step closer to the nuclear threshold. What happens if the next strike hits a Russian command bunker and kills a top general? What happens if an American missile destroys a nuclear storage facility by accident today? The margin for error is exactly 0. Putin has drawn a new red line. The Joint Attack Classification is a legal framework for World War III. The Kremlin has legally justified a nuclear strike on NATO infrastructure. If they track the satellite targeting data back to an American base in Germany, do they strike Ramstein? If they track the logistics back to Poland, do they strike Rzeszów? The American families whose loved ones are deployed in Europe are watching the news with absolute dread. The stakes have never been higher in our entire lifetime than they are right now today. The interceptors on American destroyers in the Mediterranean are standing by. The missile defense systems in Poland and Romania are on high alert. The Western defense architecture is bracing. The Russian bear is wounded, angry, and armed with the largest nuclear arsenal on the planet. The Biden administration rolled the dice. They bet the fate of the free world on the assumption that Putin is bluffing. But what if he is not bluffing? The closure of the American embassy in Kyiv proves that Washington is taking the threat very seriously right now, this very minute. They know the retaliation is coming. They just do not know where, when, or how massive it will be. The Ukrainian president stated clearly, "We now have ATACMS, and we will use them. The missiles will continue to fly. The explosions will continue to rock the Russian homeland. The North Korean troops will continue to bleed on foreign soil. And the nuclear clock ticks closer to midnight than it has since the Cuban Missile Crisis." We are witnessing a fundamental shift in the global balance of power. Deterrence has failed. We are entering an era of unrestricted geopolitical combat, where ballistic missiles dictate the terms of diplomacy. The logistics center was just the opening salvo in this terrifying new chapter. The Kremlin has promised an unavoidable response. The tactical warheads are ready. The American missiles are locked on their next targets. The collision course is set. The world stands on the absolute brink of total annihilation. Commanders know the next hours will dictate survival. So the only question left to ask is this: who will push the final button?